The Xeric Grant too.
Yeah, the Ninja Turtle guys.
They went two different ways, right? Mm-hmm. One of them's like, I'm gonna buy a tank. What book do you want? Here's money, and just like would throw cash at people at shows, and then wonder why the books never got made.
Yeah. Inés Estrada came up on our sci-fi episode. Recently we were talking about their book Alienation. Mexican cartoonist. Actually, I don't know if they're Mexican descent, but they were located in Mexico City last I knew. And so I thought it would be a good time to talk about this little zine here called Cartoon Spirituality. Similarly to the way we talked about The Prison of Style, the Tommy Messeri essay way back in episode 15.
Episode 15. And this is, the time of recording is Wednesday, August 27th. So this is looking like it'll be what, our 62nd?
62 or 3?
62, yeah.
Yeah.
Our 62nd episode. So, Cartoon Spirituality by Inés Estrada. 20,000 years ago, the first cartoons were drawn. Prehistoric people scribbled inside the surfaces of caves and scrawled on stones. These were the first graphic representations made by humans, and they're still around for us to see. Today, I will call them cartoons because, on a very basic level, that's what they are. They're stylized drawings. Even if they're not totally realistic, they're clearly depicting wild animals, the likes of which shared a specific reality in time and space with our ancestors. Some humans appear in these scenes too, but they feel almost insignificant. They're small and faceless, merely some sticks with a dot for a head. Sometimes they're armed with weapons, but even then they look quite vulnerable compared to the animals that surround them. The true meanings and intentions of these depictions have been lost forever to time, but we call them art because we don't know better.
Humans throughout time have taken that which they don't understand and called it by names more familiar to them. To impose the ideological concepts of today into the mysteries of yesterday is a sort of chronological colonization that we do. It's an easy way to make the past more familiar and less incomprehensible. I have decided to impose my concept of cartoons into cave paintings and petroglyphs, and going forward in time, into anything that is a graphical representation of anything figurative. A drawing to me can be any kind of stroke on a surface, while a cartoon is decidedly not abstract. It is instead an abstraction of something. Prehistoric cartoons definitely served a purpose, or maybe more than one, but the only one I can assure for certain is that they were made for contemplation, to be seen, partly at least, by humans. Beyond that, it's all suppositions and projections from our perspective in this current time and place.
Drawing is one of the original form of visual expression. Before the written word, there were drawings, and that's why I consider writing to be a form of drawing. In some languages, it is even more so, as they use ideograms to express concepts, symbols that communicate concepts, and not just phonetic signs like the letters of the English alphabet. There's another branch of human culture that developed from drawing, which is what we now call art. To determine exactly what is art feels like another millenary mystery to me, since everyone seems to have their own definition of it. For the purpose of this essay, I'm going to disregard that concept completely. It's too loaded with elitism to serve what I want to communicate here. The thing about drawing, be it art, writing, or cartoons, is that it has a transcendental power to absorb us into contemplation, transport us to another reality, or show us another perspective of this one. Here is where graphic expression blurs into the realm of magic. To draw is to invoke an idea and manifest it into this reality. And in this way, reality can be transformed and created. Makes sense to me, since magic partly evolved into what we now call science.
Magic is an artifice, an amalgamation of human techniques for understanding and controlling reality. It can be done through the manipulation of supernatural forces, and what are those if not just real entities around us that we have not yet understood in human terms? Everyday commodities like electricity or the internet would have been considered magic just a few hundred years ago. We call the unexplainable magic, but true magic depends on structured processes, much like today's science. What is actually unexplainable is our reality, and magic helps us grapple with it. Drawing can also be understood as a magic technique to manipulate reality. On the surface, it transforms the visual appearance of whatever you're drawing on, but on a deeper level, it can also influence and move others in more conscious and unconscious ways. To draw is to manifest an image, and with it you invoke an idea, a multidimensional concept embedded in a graphic symbol. Even just a simple representation of an animal, like the ones in cave paintings, can take a life of its own in our mind and become an egregore?
Sure.
A powerful spiritual entity. This is what I think cartoons are.
Some of the first cults and religions in this world were centered around animal worship. Animals are similar to us. They are alive and they are conscious. But in their own particular way, that is unlike what we experience as life and consciousness. This difference in their abilities, their perception, and their approach to life is what awes and fascinates us, or can sometimes repulse us as well. Animal cults mostly developed out of the admiration of these differences and particularities, and we begin to associate animals with superior beings, either as their companions or their representatives on Earth. In ancient Egypt, drawings of anthropomorphic gods can be found on countless walls and artifacts. All of them drawn with such beautiful stylization that makes me consider them sacred cartoons. They're figurative, but they're intentionally not made to be perfectly realistic. Egyptians drew the proportions of their characters relative to their importance to each other, and disregard the mechanics of human perspective. Kings are bigger than slaves, and gods are bigger than kings. Cartoons are just realistic enough so we can understand what they attempt to represent, but beyond that, the rules of their world can bend as infinitely as the dancing limbs of Betty Boop.
As cartoons, magic and the sacred have been so intimately entwined since their origins, it is only natural that in our current era, industrially made cartoons have now become holy to many of us living in this capitalist society. The cartoons of today are similar to the cave paintings of our ancestors because most of them have also been created collectively, so much that most of their creators become almost irrelevant, and in some cases even anonymous. Most of them are owned by corporations, which, to me, are also like magical entities since we made them all up. And that's why their creators often end up becoming more of a brand name than an actual person who's drawing every iteration of the character. And as the character is replicated by more and more people, it starts to become an egregore, something that transcends the imagination of an individual to become a being in its own right, the idol of a new faith. And depending on the kind of devotion it provokes in its fans, it could also morph into an infectious ideological parasite.
Recently on Twitter, the following post went viral. Disney plays a sacred role in our society. It is tasked with transmitting the values of fairy tales, both old and new, to generations. This is a holy task. Fairy tales are not trifles. They are symbolic myths, representations of the collective consciousness of our culture. Many mock this statement, but in spite of the hyperbolic way in which it is written, it reflects a mental state of reality that a portion of humanity currently lives in. These people see corporations like their sacred institutions. In the same way, others, or maybe some of them too, also see religion. Disney, like Hollywood, is so powerful, and the media they create and distribute is so pervasive that it certainly has an effect of indoctrination on a big part of our population. Because of that, I don't think we should be pleading to them to have mercy on us, as if these cultural overlords cared for us in any way other than their consumer serfs. Instead, we should be looking at ourselves, questioning how all the media we've absorbed throughout our lives has shaped and informed our thought patterns and life structures, to consider which kinds of it we consciously want to let influence us and in what capacity. Why not, instead of accepting the ideological reality they're creating for us, create our own? The power of the fan lies in that, to take an already existing character or fictional world and create your own narrative and meaning for it. The cult of cartoon-like characters can be traced back to prehistory, and something else that these holy graphic figures share with our modern-day cartoons is that there's something about them that transcends both the human and the earthly. Jesus Christ probably existed as a real person once, but he transcended his humanity to become an icon, and in that way, I consider him to be, if not the first, then at least the best known transhuman in current history. Like a cartoon, his character maintains a symbolic essence, but his appearance is mutable. He can be found around the world depicted as a man of many races, and in this way, his humanity became as boundless as his message.
To adore a god or a saint is an act of faith. As humans, we need to find meaning in life and ways to make sense of reality. To believe in something fulfills this spiritual need. Currently, we are living in the dark era of the virtual. Social media is a fucked up way to quantify reality. Through it, your worth and relevance can be correlated to numbers. Does it matter? Yes? No? Everyone's forced into a subtle state of psychosis now as we accept this parallel reality as inseparable to ours, but also as its own independent dimension. The internet may provide us with ways to be more connected, but because of how it's designed, it mostly just makes us feel more alienated and self-conscious. Add to that the pandemic, climate change, economic instability, politics becoming polarized. Everything is losing nuance and being flattened into opposing extremes of a duality. The eternal battle of good versus evil is morphing into the real versus the unreal. Through the internet, we can constantly and immediately know about everything happening that's everywhere, including the thoughts of billions of people, some of whom we love, many we simply know of, and most of whom are complete strangers with whom we just happen to share a planet. Our minds and souls have no capacity to truly consider each of the almost 8 billion humans as individuals who are just as complex as us. To be made aware of it all can feel overwhelming. It's true psychic warfare. What we consider real and our spirituality are the most vulnerable fronts in this current culture war.
To adore a cartoon is an act of faith. To believe that in some way, somehow, there is a transcendental truth within its fiction. Fans adore characters for many reasons. In their favorite characters, they can see themselves, or their ideal self or partner. Or the fascination can come from more mysterious depths. Perhaps there isn't a clearly articulable reason for why this character has become so present in their lives, but something about it resonates in a way that the connection feels unique and unbreakable. A spiritual bond is formed, not with another human, nor with a mythical being, but with a supernatural entity, acknowledged as a decidedly human creation, but still in a sort of anonymous way, as it's often more tied to a brand than a specific artist. Capitalism is the reality within which this entity has taken form and through which it propagates. Its holy texts are media properties, and in its followers' communion rituals, consuming is commonly the most important. But its ideological power still depends on the public, especially on its devotees. Fans give and transform the power of the cartoon. Pepe the Frog, who first appeared in the aughts as a part of a gang of stoner freaks in Matt Fury's comics, transformed through the meme magic of anons and internet trolls into a designated hate symbol in the US in the late 10s. A sigil invoked and personified. At the same time, he also became a political mascot for a very different cause in Hong Kong, where he represented protesters opposing the authority of mainland China.
As an individual of this era, I am also a fan, and I even have a few cartoon characters tattooed on me. One of them is this Gabumon that I made on myself. It's a character from Digimon, an animated series that I watched when I was about 10 years old, and which I still remember moved me deeply, although I don't know how I'd feel about it now since I'm not devoted enough to watch it again as an adult. 20 years later, just the memory of it brings me enough comfort and entertainment. I like to think that because Digimons are digital monsters, their reality isn't completely an impossible fiction. They could exist in virtual reality, and in the series, they're out there hanging out, doing their thing. They can feel, think, and talk. Each has a distinct personality, and I also think they look cool. The original Digimon 1 and 2 series follow one story. There's many characters, both human and digital, and it's sort of an epic adventure with love and friendship, obliterating evil in the end. Then there's Digimon 3, which starts a new story by Chiaki Konaka. In it, the characters have grown up as fans of the original Digimon series. They play the card games and avidly consume everything else in the franchise. One of them even creates their own Digimon by drawing it, and then it becomes real. And it turns out Digimons actually exist in virtual reality, and they can breach over to ours too. The dream of a fan comes true.
Konaka also wrote the anime Serial Experiments Lane. This series is about teenagers and virtual reality too, but the world it depicts is darker. The Wired is more sinister and reminds me more of Videodrome than the Digi world. Instead of being populated by friendly monsters, it's a deep web of human monstrosity. foreshadowing in 1998 some of the worst aspects of today's internet, including the power of nefarious trolls and influencer psychic vampires who construct an illusory self online that feeds on the attention of others. Narcissists and psychopaths create and propagate ideological parasites that suck on the energy of others. You can feel these kind of characters among the rich, since wealth makes material possessions worthless for them. What they crave the most is power, and an easy way to make yourself powerful is by being present in other people's minds. Cartoon characters have a visual appeal that facilitates them in becoming parasitic ideological entities. A fan can become enslaved by his idol. Like an addict, he surrenders his life completely to a figure that to others is nothing more than a fiction. This phenomenon reflects the alienation our society forces us to experience. For some, it can be so heavy that they retreat completely into their own fantasies. They would rather procure their bond with a made-up character than maintain relationships with other humans. I don't blame them for preferring their imagination over our reality, but I wonder how fulfilling their lives are for them as individuals. Capitalism inflicts a particular kind of trauma on us that damages something precious and essential to the human experience, our capacity to form intimate relationships with others.
In the beginning, humans drew animals, living beings with whom they shared a reality. Then came the supernatural, the gods, the saints, the demons, the ghosts, the aliens, beings that are sometimes like us or like the animals we know, but who are also something more than the powerful and confounding. But who are also something more than that, more powerful and confounding. Most of humanity kept developing a spirituality that could be represented through characters and figures, but in Islam, sentient beings are absent from the graphic expressions of its followers. Their visual representation of God is so abstracted that it's found in complex geometric patterns and intricate calligraphic pieces. Just like drawings, each is unique. Also because in Arabic, there are 99 holy names for which to call God. The devotees of other Abrahamic religions seem to envision a more humanized version of God, which enables such a complex entity to become more approachable. But I personally believe that we should also expand our understanding of God beyond the human. For me, God is pure consciousness. If beings, like bees, who some consider inferior, experience a kind of consciousness that we cannot even imagine, by being capable of flying and seeing in infrared, how could we pretend to impose the limits of a human mind and form on a being as infinite and superior as a God?
Postmodernity has brought humanity to experience a new kind of spiritual complexity. We now have the virtual. Fictional characters, media properties, memes, egregores, entities we acknowledge to be made up, but yet we revere them as if they had some kind of physical power over us. And they do, because thinking of them, we give them power. Capitalism feeds off of our never-ending desires, but material wealth is not only unfulfilling past a certain point, it's also limited by the fact that resources are finite. Our consciousness is the only thing that we can constantly expand on and never get to reach its limit. Within this rotten structure, we have the power to create our own reality. What kind of ideological entities and spiritual beings deserve your energy? How can you define the form and the extent of their presence in your reality?
I would love for Gabuman to be real and hang out with me. He's cute and a mix of two of my favorite animal kinds, furry and dinosaur-like. He's also a bit weird and shy, but above all, a sweet, unconditional friend. But if he existed in virtual reality, as the series suggests, he would be a product of artificial intelligence. AI can process information at an astounding speed, but it can already surpass our capacity for that in specific areas. But there is not yet any kind of artificial consciousness. AI has no awareness, it does not feel, does not have any desires, nor any kind of social or self-constructed identity narrative. They do not have an intuition, and they cannot make associations of unrelated things unless they do it at random. The human mind functions in a very different way and is instead terrible at randomness. This can be proven simply by the fact that the most secure passwords are generated by AI. Passwords conformed of random letters and numbers are the hardest to decipher for both humans and other AI. Instead, human-created passwords always contain words or numbers in a particular order, not only because that makes it easier for us to remember them, but also because it's very hard for us to come up with anything that isn't meaningful to us in some way or related to something that is. Meaning is necessary for our existence. A mind without a meaningful structure is not random, it is chaotic, just like the world we live in. Every structure of reality has a pattern. We're just too limited by our human perception to be able to observe and understand them all. There are many magic techniques we can study and practice to contemplate our reality and manifest new ones in it. Drawing is just one of them. Let us expand our consciousness and create new meanings and new structures for our reality, less dependent on the fake promises of unattainable material comfort and never-ending consumption, for our joy to be found in imagination and involvement. Or not. I'm not anyone to tell you what to believe in. Take whatever you like from this and make it your own, and maybe I'll become your fan one day.
It cannot be stolen by thieves, nor can it be taken away by kings. It cannot be divided among brothers. It does not cause a load on your shoulders. If spent, it indeed always keeps growing. The wealth of knowledge is the most superior wealth of all.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna draw cartoon characters from memory.
Yeah, I guess tapping into the idea of these symbols and these things that are embedded in our minds.
What about Sonic the Hedgehog?
Okay.
Sonic? All right.
So some of my friends who have since moved out of New York, we used to do this thing called Draw Taz. But it was tapping into this similar kind of idea of like, everyone thinks they know what Taz looks like until you start to try to draw him. And then you're just like, wait a minute, what the fuck? I think that's kind of a funny part of it. Like, we think we know what these things are and what they look like, but only by recognizing it. And I wonder if, like, I kept thinking during that essay about that Simpsons episode. It's one of the Treehouse of Horror ones, one of the Halloween episodes. And it's about advertising. And basically the donut guy, Lard Lad, he's like the logo of the donut shop.
Yeah.
All the mascots come alive and start terrorizing the town. And Lisa figures out that all they want is attention.
Right.
And so they beat the monsters by ignoring them. And I remember as a kid being like, I feel like I even on some level understood that analogy as a little kid of being like, wait, what are these things? Well, and like, why do they command our attention in this way? Wow, this is a great Sonic. Even like,
yes,
even like,
that rules.
This looks like Batman's about to fight Sonic.
I kind of like it. It's a me.
It's a me.
It's a me, Sonic.
Sonic.
Everyone knows me from my iconic saying.
Yeah, you might remember me from such films as...
All right, now you pick one.
He-Man.
Oh, shit. My number one favorite cartoon character when I was growing up, He-Man. I don't know how to draw him.
He-Man. He has like a bowl cut?
He does. He has a Prince Valiant haircut. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I watch that all the time. He's just like a Conan.
Yeah, he's totally a Conan.
He's a Conan.
He's a Conan. But there were certain things like, G.I. Joe, which we just read for Club.
Yeah.
What did you think of those?
The first few are not great. They're like very fitting for what G.I. Joe is. A lot of jargon, basically military propaganda.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's gamifying the American military industrial complex. It's selling it as cool to kids. You know, that's something I wanted to talk about before, actually, that I forgot, is that most of what the United States does, their main like mind bug, like mind worm, is convincing you of cool, of like selling you way of life. They convince you, and the media, all media perpetuates this, popular media. It takes a convention that is society and the way people function and relate to each other, and shapes it in a way that serves capitalism. So what they're selling you are ideas about what life is. And it reaffirms itself through media because media is the closest thing to life experience, right? You watch a movie, it's as close as living the actual thing as you can get.
Well, I have a theory that at this point in our species, it's actually closer. Because I think we've now absorbed so many stories and so many tales, and we've watched so much that I think we, in a lot of ways, and a lot of people have actually watched more than they've experienced. Especially because you're able to watch movies that take place in other countries. Sure. You're able to do what do they call, like, emotional tourism for other people and how their feelings feel. This is something I want to write about it at some point, but I have a feeling that
Comics People Manifesto.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't think I have an angle on it. It's just kind of an observation, but I actually think that like we live more now through fictional stories than our own actual lives because we're always now comparing. It used to be like if you're a cowboy out on the fucking range, you know, like you only know your horse, and for weeks and weeks and weeks. You only know your horse, then you meet some other people. Maybe every once in a while you read a book or the Bible or something like that. Actually,
and boy, do you know that horse.
Yes. Maybe this theory falls apart because of the Bible, because like people were always comparing their lives to the Bible. But I
still are.
But now we have a wider variety of things that kind of serve that function. And so I think it used to be you could kind of compare your own life to something that you read in a book. But now
people don't read.
I mean the other way around. I think you used to be able to compare the book to your actual life, because your actual life is your primary source of understanding.
Sure.
Whereas now we live so much in a fictional realm and online that we're actually comparing our life to something else.
Right.
And so it's like a swap of something.
Right, and that fictional convention that comes through, virtual means, the computer, it kind of further pushes you into it, because what happens then is that you assume that your real life is out to get you or whatever, and you try to escape from it, right? So capitalism, I think, it creates the circumstances by which you feel exhausted and oppressed because you're constantly working. And we all know that like work sucks. Everybody can agree on that.
I like my job.
Well, me too.
If you think work sucks, become a teacher, you people out there.
Well, I mean, a lot of people who are chasing capital will not be fulfilled by teaching,
That's
right?
probably true.
But I agree. Like my job doesn't suck either. But I'm saying like the idea of work, right? Like we've all worked jobs that suck.
Oh my god.
Like we can all agree on that.
Big time.
And so what I'm saying is like when you're in the suck, you want to escape. You seek pleasure as a contrast. So capitalism creates both the poison and the antidote. It creates the suffering and it sells you the antidote. And that antidote is escape through your choice. Your choice of escape, which pushes you further in that direction.
It's Disney selling you stories about rebellion.
There you go.
That's the inherent contradiction right there.
Totally.
Disney selling you Star Wars where the rebels win, but in reality the Empire's already won.
Yeah, and the thing is, the same people who root for the rebels in Star Wars wear Trump hats, and they're like, ugh, and they're into ice.
They think they're the rebels.
Right, and that was, people were like, how does no one see through Trump's bullshit? Like, how does no one understand that he's just there to make himself rich? And it was like, because he is a symbol. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like a symbol of what dumb people think a successful guy is.
Yeah, well, I heard somebody phrase it once. They were like, why can't they tell that Trump, the rich guy, doesn't care about, Joe, poor guy? And it's not that they think he cares about them, it's that they see Trump as what they would be if they were rich.
Right.
They're like, it's like aspirational.
Yeah, it's aspirational.
I would be that guy.
That's me.
Yeah, as a rich guy.
Yeah, or just like, I'm not there yet because all these people are holding me back.
Yeah, all these immigrants are...
Yeah, whatever. Put in X, right? Put in X bad guy. Like, that's me. I haven't gotten there yet because all these people are holding me back.
Right.
And the brilliant trick of capitalism is to use corporations to further degrade your life and then blame it on your neighbor. They take the money out of the communities. They shut down the processing and manufacturing jobs. They're the ones who close factories and move. They're the ones who steal your pension and your retirement accounts.
Yep.
The capitalists do this, and then they blame it on your neighbor, and you believe them. So like that's their big trick, And
because you believe in the symbol.
Because you believe in the
trust
symbol.
the symbol. They've won your trust over, and they're able to convince you of things. It's like it's just like the essay. It's like, how much power do you give over to this narrative?
Right.
And who's controlling that narrative? Anyway, if these are the kind of commissions you're interested in, come find us at New York Comic Con. And who draws amazing commissions actually is Derek. Have you seen any of his gouache paintings?
Oh, his paintings are great.
Iron Man punching War Machine's face off or whatever.
Course.
Like that shit is awesome.
Derek's commissions are dope.
That's what you want for a commission.
Yeah,
if you want a commission, reach out to Derek. Don't ask us.
Go buy commissions from Derek, also known as Scuds Inc.
Scuds Inc.
Oh, speaking of which, we're going to be at some festivals coming up.
New York Comic Con,
SPX. I'm going to do CXC solo. And then
that's my birthday.
We're going to meet up again for Philly.
Oh, actually, I did want to say that about G.I. Joe. Yes to all the things you were saying about it being propaganda and all this stuff, but I, against all of my natural instincts, was like, I felt like I was like 8 again, going like, this fucking rules.
Well, we played with those toys, so it works. Like, it worked. It rang the nostalgia bell. I remember having being so excited about having the little motorcycle and all the gun clip-on attachments. And stuff.
I didn't. Oh, so that's what I was gonna say. I didn't have any of that stuff because I wasn't allowed to. G.I. Joe was like Masters of the Universe because it was like violence stuff.
Sure.
But my friend had all that shit. He had
Like the aircraft carrier.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
That had the little boats on the sides.
Yeah.
That
Like as
arrived,
big
like,
as their living room.
Yes, that thing was fucking awesome. He had all that shit. It was great. I loved going to his house. He had this giant living room, and it just became like this massive territory. Like we would play with G.I. Joes across the entire area. It was like a 1,000-foot size.
Yeah.
He was not like a rich kid or anything.
I had a friend like that.
He had this massive house and all these G.I. Joes, and we would just play for hours and hours and hours.
Do you remember when you stopped playing with action figures?
I do, actually. That's a great question. I would love to hear other people's experiences.
I remember
with
the
this.
exact moment.
There was a period of time of like, we were like, we're probably too old to be doing this still, but we still really liked doing it. It was when like you don't have that many, or at least I didn't have that many friends. He didn't go to my school, he went to a different school. Part of what made it okay for us to keep playing with G.I. Joes was that no one at school was going to find out about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was getting at. And so, but there was a point where we just kind of were like, I don't think we can really do this anymore. But we didn't formally announce it or anything, but I feel like we felt it. And then we started having friends at our own schools and just kind of gradually stopped hanging out.
Yep.
But then there was a time where we like kind of tried it again. And I wish there was a way to like write about this or somehow capture that moment of like, no, this isn't working.
Yeah.
Like there, it was. To me, in my memory, it was so palpable of that moment of like you can't capture this.
You can't
glory.
put it back in the bottle.
You can't put it back in the bottle.
Yeah, totally. I've been in a space right now where I just like am not making my best drawings, and that's okay. I'm in this stage where like.
What do you mean?
Well, I just am like kind of sapped. Like I feel creatively burnt out. I don't really like the term burnout because I don't really believe that it's like a state in which you exist for very long. But I do believe in like there's no gas in the tank kind of thing.
Sure.
Like I just feel like I've poured out all my creative energy and now I need to do a little refractory period where I regain it, How
do you think that happened?
Well, it's just me. I've just been working really hard. I mean, I put out a lot of books. I've been doing not video game. I almost said video game.
Let's make a video game.
I've been doing the tabletop game. Oh, I'd love to make a video game. I've just been doing a lot. Summer was really busy and I didn't really have any chance to get away. We went to Bucks County for like 2 days, but I'm saying like I didn't get my full reset,
Yeah, sure.
And now I'm just headed right back into school season again. So I'm going to be teaching a lot.
So do you feel like that affects your drawing ability?
I think it's just about unfettered time for me, and that affects that. Like the school season affects my schedule to a degree where I don't have the time to sit
what?
and draw.
Oh, okay. So I'm curious because I feel like other people probably have this feeling too.
That's why I'm talking about it,
Like,
because I think it's helpful for people to hear and to talk about.
So you feel like you're out of practice? Or?
No. Here's my kind of long and short is that I think you need a chunk of uninterrupted time to get a good solid bit of drawing done.
Yeah, what did David Lynch says? Like you need 5 hours to do 45 minutes of good painting.
Yeah, something to that effect. And so I think that there's some truth to that. You need the mental space to not be concerned with any other things. So when I'm teaching, I just don't have that. And then, coupled with all the extracurriculars that I do, I'm just at a point right now where I need to recharge.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
You go through those phases where you're a lot of output and then you need input. And I'm reminded of that Stephen King quote where he says like, when you're inundated with thoughts, write. And when you feel exhausted or like when you feel like you are not creative, then you read. And I think there's really something to that. It's like self-care, read, go see movies.
Go do yoga.
Sure, go do yoga.
Go do nude yoga.
Yeah, didn't you just do some nude yoga?
I did. It was really.
Tell the people about it.
I did a nude yoga class at a group called Hit Me Up NYC. They have a space in Chinatown, and they do mostly like, I don't know what you call it, sex positive events. But this was not a sexual experience at all, at least not for me. But it was like a 2-hour session of
2 hours
of like it was
a lot of yoga.
Well, it was social. Like we met before we got nude. We like met each other. The instructor was great. She had us do like these funny handshakes. I think the whole thing is she wanted to take a little extra time so that people didn't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course.
Like I've done nude yoga in the past,
break
and it's
the
been like
ice.
4 dudes in a room, but this was like 50 people, and so I think
Whoa.
she really took the time to be like, let's meet each other, let's talk. I did a little comic about it in my journal, which if you read that on Patreon, you'll find it.
Yeah, go to our Patreon and read about Mike's naked yoga experiment.
But it was really fun, and it was really like opening, and I'm getting back into yoga now anyway, but there's something nice about it, about like, when you're in a yoga class, you share this kind of mental space with other people, and it's not a tangible kind of energy. Like I think obviously it costs money to go to a yoga class, but it's not a product. It's not a thing.
Right.
Like with the experience, the experience you get out of it is not necessarily tied to the money part. So there's no expectations on it, and whatever you take out of it is your own experience, which is the kind of thing that I want to spend money on. Is like it's not commodified by someone else.
I once heard it, yoga and meditation are closely related, and I once heard yoga described as a non-gory.
Go on.
Go on. As a non-goal oriented practice.
Nice.
And I think that non-goal oriented practices are really difficult having American minds because we're all about the goal. What's the goal? What's the most efficient way to get to the goal? How do I get to the goal?
Yeah.
It's all about that. That's capitalism, baby. So,
And one of the things I love so much about drawing, specifically drawing with pen only, just for myself, is I don't know where it's going. I have a goal.
Right.
I have a goal, I guess, to draw Sonic, but whatever that turns out to be doesn't have to be attached to it. So I can't even look at these and be like, are these good? Are they not good? I don't even know. This is just what happens. It's just the experience of what happened.
For sure. And I think that's why, as artists, we take to meditation and yoga more easily than if your brain is wired against that,
Yeah, maybe.
I think drawing is the same kind of practice as yoga. I think it's very similar.
Yeah, and I think it's an open, exploratory space. And even if you don't ever show it to anybody or don't ever put it into a zine or anything, like that's something no one can take away from you, that experience.
It's also really fun. I really love drawing. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Me too. It's nice to be able to do it with other people around.
Yeah, because so much of it is done by yourself.
Yeah, and I think when you're doing it with another person, it kind of reaffirms, like, it's fine to be doing this. There are times where I just want to draw in my sketchbook, and it's like, yeah, but you could be doing something else. And I feel slightly guilty about it.
I never feel guilty about it.
Whereas that idea of, like, I shouldn't be drawing in my sketchbook, I should be drawing a comic. I should be drawing something more productive, more real. But, like, this kind of doodling
You should be making work like Alec Monopoly. The essay that we read, I think, takes big swings.
Yes.
It talks about a lot of really huge topics, one of which is religion, right? Human history, right? It starts at the beginning. Anytime you're like, back to the cave drawings of Lascaux,
I love
it's
how
like
audacious that whole thing is.
Yeah.
Like it's a zine, right? It's probably 18 pages or something, and it starts with cave drawings. Like, fuck yeah.
But it's not wrong.
No,
and
not at all.
Going back to the cave drawings is a way to speak to the commonality of all people. It's like our common origin, the corner of the cave where you told the stories about what monsters lived where, right? And how that's been perverted into the modern age. Well, like Alan Moore talks about a similar thing, saying that the real magician of our day is the advertiser who can make everyone in the world sing the same jingle at the same time. And it is like this idea, like, I've given this, by the way, this whole essay is like right up my alley.
Oh, I know. That's partly why I wanted to read it, because I was like, this is something that you and I talk about individually, but also like I know is right in your wheelhouse.
It's just something I've thought about my whole life. It's about, think about it. What is the focus of all of this? What's the point of all of this? It's about captivating attention.
Yeah.
Everything is about your attention. Where do you put your attention? Because where you put your attention is how you form your beliefs. And how you form your beliefs are what you consider real. So if someone gives you a choice between A and B, they've already pulled a trick. Yeah. Because those aren't your only choices. They are suggesting, why don't you make up your own reality?
Yeah.
It's far more interesting and way less limiting.
Yeah, and I love that Inés includes like fan art as something that's completely legitimate, because that's exactly what you're talking about. Like take control over these symbols instead of just allowing them to manipulate you. Like if you like something, make your own version of it.
Yeah.
That takes their power away. They no longer have a monopoly on that type of attention. You can give it to yourself in a more constructive way by making something.
Absolutely. And it really is just like something I've always thought about. It's like, why does religion captivate the way it does? Because their stories told. You know, you believe them as being real to whatever degree you do, but it's your belief in them that makes them real to you. Right. So like belief is a very powerful thing, and through messaging, that's how you suggest belief. Yeah. Like you suggest what is real to people based on messaging. So like all of this advertising, the reason why advertising works is it just repeats, it just keeps tapping you in the brain until you just let it in and accept it. It just keeps knocking on the door until you open it.
But nobody likes it, which I think is the most interesting part. Nobody enjoys that process. Like when people talk about like, oh, have you seen that commercial? You know, I don't see TV anymore, so I don't really know any of these things, but I hear people talking about this stuff at work, at school, teachers mostly, or I mean, kids are susceptible to that stuff, but they can't like evaluate it yet. They can't tell the difference between a commercial. They can tell the difference, but they can't articulate like why they like or dislike a commercial. Anyway,
they also just don't know what the meaning is. Like they don't understand the implication.
But I hear teachers and adults talking about this stuff, but it's always just a point of reference. No one is ever like, oh, I liked it.
Right.
Except for people who watch the Super Bowl, which I'm like disgusted by.
I can't understand why that is a thing. So, but I mean, the Super Bowl is a perfect example of what we're talking about, right? It's like capitalism run rampant. Like that's America's church, right? Like what do they care about? They care about a pop star and a linebacker getting married. Like that's what they care about. They don't care about their country's complicity in genocide. Like that they don't care about. But they do care about a linebacker getting married, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, that shows you like the level of involvement that people are comfortable with, and that's based around that whole relationship of advertising. We are conditioned to receive, like we're conditioned to receive messaging.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Inés is like not guiding us, but like encouraging us to push back on.
Absolutely.
To push out rather than just receive. Like don't just be a receiver, be a maker, be an explorer.
Be curious.
Be curious.
Really, there's so many alternatives to modes of existing. It's like the reason why capitalism works is because they give you infinite choices in breakfast cereal options, but only one choice in how you can live.
Or who to vote for.
Or who to vote for, yeah. It's like the reason why they're so interested in reducing all things to binary choices, choose the red team or the blue team, is because they don't want to give you the choice to empower yourself. Yes. That's not acceptable.
Right.
You can't empower yourself in the system because then you're no longer part of that system.
Right. You can pick one of the choices we give you. You can't actually make your own choices.
Precisely. And so like they'll give you, 45 flavors of ice cream, 25 different varieties of Dr. Pepper made by different companies.
You get one sports team unless you're in California.
Well, it's regional. I mean, I think that is partly that partly speaks to our urges as humans.
Even that though, like people have like legit arguments about whether like soda's called pop or not.
Right, yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck?
All divisions are, emphasized, right? Like regional dialects, civic pride, and civic rivalry, those are all trumped up because that's how you rule a populace. Mm-hmm. You rule a populace through division.
Yeah, and going back to storytelling and religion, like, that's exactly what politics is, and that's exactly why Trump has been so successful. He has adopted this, or he's cultivated this symbol of salvation, and told a better story than the Democrats have.
He's a storyteller.
But the Democrats have failed in telling a story. They haven't told any story. It's not even a bad story. They have no story to tell. And so if you're a dumbass and you're left with a guy saying he's going to save your life, and a bunch of other guys saying like, yeah, but he's mean, you're going to pick the guy who says he's going to save your life.
Yeah, but already we're falling back into this like, these are my two choices. Right. And in the American political party system, you're right. Those are the only two choices. But it's a failure of our own logic to go Republicans versus Democrats because they're both two arms of the same body. They work for the same boss.
Yes.
The Republicans, their role is to turn everything towards more overtly towards fascist control. and then the Democrats' role is to stop it from going back towards the left. Like, and when I say right and left, I mean in the historical understanding of what...
Also arbitrary symbols, really.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about in the historical context of right-wing politics and left-wing politics.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess I meant in terms of like storytelling. I agree with you. They're both basically the same engine.
Well, in this country, they function that way, right? Like, it's a ratchet system. The Republicans ratchet it more right, and the Democrats stop it from going back left. Mm-hmm. So when we say the failings of the Democrats, they're not failing. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, which is just keep anyone who has of a liberal mind, keep them placated, and keep them upset, and keep them apathetic that their style of government doesn't work for some reason. Their blue team is losing, right? But it's all about storytelling. Like, look at Mamdani, right? Like, he's telling a story that we can all understand and get behind. He's saying, like, I want to make this city affordable by taxing the rich, making transportation free, and, like, making it so you can afford your rent.
Yeah.
And that's something, like, everybody's like, yes, we need childcare.
That's a good story.
That's a good story. We need childcare, we need transportation, and we need some control on the rent.
Yeah. And so Mamdani has now developed himself as a symbol of something that represents these things that we agree with and that we believe are essential and fulfill the government's actual purpose.
Right.
Beyond just telling a compelling story.
I think the other thing that people forget is that the government is supposed to nourish your life, not consistently tax it. And so, like, they're supposed to be nourishing you. When was the last time the government nourished you?
Yeah, well, even just, I don't know, like, I'm extremely cynical about everyone in the political spectrum. I mean, less so about Mamdani because I believe him, but that might be just a story I'm telling myself. But
also, wait until they push him further and further.
It's already happening.
Yeah,
it's scary. But I choose to believe because I don't want to just live my life in misery all the time. But I watched him give a speech to, I think it was like one of the musicians unions, and this speech he gave, whether he wrote it or not, I don't know, or he's at least representing this thing. But you were saying, what did you say? When was the last time a politician like made you feel something?
Feel nourished.
Yeah. So he gives this speech which is about how he believes that artists have a place in society. He didn't even say essential place. He wasn't being hyperbolic about it. He was just like, we need the arts, we need music, we need people to be able to make art for fun and make music for fun without having to make it your livelihood.
Yeah.
I have never heard a politician ever say anything even close to that.
Even like, talk about art at all.
No. Well, if the only time they talk about art is when they're talking about like the movie industry or like Hollywood or whatever. But they never talk about, like, just to hear a politician say like individuals should be able to have the leisure time and the freedom and the financial flexibility to make art for fun.
Yeah.
I was like, there isn't even any money to be gained in that statement, whether he wrote it or not.
Right.
I was like that. I felt nourished by that. Like I felt like I cannot believe I'm hearing this right now from a person running for public office. I didn't think this was possible.
Yeah, totally. And I think, and I agree, like, and my point is, you know, they're supposed to be making your lives easier, not making themselves rich.
Right.
Because it's public service. And so what I think, personally, is that you do away with elections altogether. No more elections. Governmental positions are assigned by lottery, like jury duty.
I had the similar idea.
Yeah. You have to go work. You don't want to do it, because if you want to do it, you shouldn't be able to do it.
I agree. I completely agree.
If you want to be a politician, you shouldn't be allowed to be a politician. If we get rid of the elections and we go to a lottery-based system, it works for jury duty. You go and you do jury duty, and then you immediately want to go back home. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to hang out there. So that gets rid of the lobbying. It gets rid of the money, because you don't need a campaign. There are no campaigns. Right? So we can eliminate this false pretext of this constant need for money that politicians have, and we abolish the parties as well.
Yeah, I'm totally down. Yeah, and get rid of the fucking president. Like, why is there one person in charge of this place?
One person should not. There should be no figurehead. It should be a council. And like,
which might also be, I mean, that also taps into symbolism. Like, like if this is, you know, this is ostensibly a ideological, like, Christian nation, which is awful, but like the president is a single savior figure. The president exists as, like, if your guy's in office, you're okay. He's a daddy.
He's a daddy. Daddy'll fix it. Daddy'll save you. Yeah, it's this, you know, that's the thing, right? It's like we've removed
the personhood from politicians, and we think that they're part of a group that we can't access, and that's why they continue to stay in power. And you know, one thing about Mamdani that I'll say is like, he's got one of three things coming for him, right? He'll be made completely irrelevant, like a Bernie Sanders, who like says the right things all the time, but never moves the needle an inch and is actually a centrist, right?
I don't know if Bernie's really a centrist. I think he's closer to the center. I don't believe that he's playing some sort of game.
No, I don't think so either. I'm saying the machine that is American politics has rendered him like a nerd.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's... I think he's...
I don't think it's a failing of him. I'm just
whereas
saying...
I think it is a failing of someone like Elizabeth Warren, who
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
pretends to be not a centrist, but is.
Yeah.
I don't think Bernie is that.
Right. I agree. I agree with you. I think Bernie's heart is in the right place. What I'm saying is that the American politics machine
Functionally.
functions in a way to render those people ineffectual.
Yeah.